Hello and welcome to BitBoy Crypto. I am your host, BitBoy. Today we're going to be talking about some really big stories, in my opinion, in cryptocurrency. A lot of heavy hitters today, so make sure you stay tuned for the news portion coming up. If you're not a member of the Bit Squad, make sure you hit that subscribe button, become a member, hit the bell for notifications. If you do, you have the opportunity to participate in our October and November contest, which we are giving away $500 worth of Ethereum and merch. So make sure that you do that. We're going to be picking 14 total winners at the end of November. So really excited about that. Make sure you guys are subscribers, like on this video, comment on this video, and all the videos from this point forward through the end of November. And you will be able to have numerous entries into the contest. If you guys have watched the way we do the giveaways before, as long as you like and comment on every single video between now and the end of November and you are a subscriber, you've got a pretty good chance to win. So, okay, guys, let's jump in right now and look at the markets. The markets are struggling a bit today, $215 billion. Bitcoin dominance is at 52.1%, so rising just a little bit. It really is interesting to me just how much XRP/Ripple really has to do with Bitcoin dominance. When it's surging, Bitcoin dominance is dropping. When it is dropping, Bitcoin dominance is rising. It seems that even though right now XRP is a little bit behind Ethereum, and Ethereum is in that number 2 spot, that it really just seems to me that XRP is really driving the altcoin market. So honestly, I've got a feeling XRP is going to pass Ethereum, and I'm not going to say for good, but I do have a feeling that XRP is going to be in that number 2 spot here pretty soon, permanently, quasi-permanently, for longer than a couple hours like we've seen recently. So XRP is down almost 3% today. With the end of the Swell conference, a lot of people have been really disappointed with how XRP performed. But, you know, there is some good news for XRP right now, which is that now xrapid is officially live. It was really confusing to me why we got such a pump on the possible news of xrapid going live this month. And now that it is live very early on in the month, we're not seeing any movement out of the price. So I don't know if this news has maybe not had time to fluctuate, or maybe the launch was kind of built into the price. It's really just hard to say. But, you know, I do think that the Swell conference was a huge disappointment for Ripple. But that's not really, and of course that's not a comment on the speakers or the actual feeling of the conference, just in terms of what it did for the price, which was absolutely nothing, which is what we've seen with all the conferences. We've seen that with Consensus. We were all expecting this big Consensus pump, and it didn't happen at all. The price actually dropped, and now we've seen the same thing with Swell. So what I've really come to learn is over the bear markets, or over this bear market specifically, you know, we get kind of like buy the rumor, sell the news when it comes to conferences. We get a little pump leading up to them, but then the price dumps. We're getting actually conference dumps instead of conference pumps. So not really an indictment on Ripple or XRP. I do think it's interesting that they use the old logo here instead of the new logo in this article, Invest in Blockchain. But, you know, just pretty interesting to check out. So poloniex is one of the few places that U.S. investors have been able to leverage trade. And now that is over. No more leverage trading. So apparently poloniex was bought by Goldman Sachs or by Circle, which is owned by Goldman Sachs. And now they have said no more margin trading for U.S. investors. And now a lot of U.S. investors that want to leverage trade are basically going to be forced to open VPNs and trade on other, in other countries through VPN. So very sketchy. It's not something I really want to take part in. I do know a lot of people do it, but a lot of people saw poloniex as really one place where they were able to do it, and now that's gone. So I do think we will see an influx of people to other exchanges or other, places where people can leverage trade. But this is pretty disappointing for a lot of different reasons. It was good to know that U.S. investors had, this option at least to be able to do it, and now that, like I've said like 6 times, that is gone. So a lot of people think that this was due to the purchase of Goldman Sachs and Circle of poloniex, and now U.S. regulators are really bearing down on poloniex. And so people are just going to have to move on to somewhere different. So if you have traded on poloniex, go ahead and drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear about, what your plans are for the future, if you're going to continue leverage trading, if you're going to open a VPN, or whatever your next steps might be. So, okay, we have Gemini has announced digital assets insurance, which if I'm reading this correctly, this basically means that you're going to have insurance on whatever fiat that you deposit into the Gemini exchange in order to trade on there. As we know, the Winklevoss twins, they ain't playing around. These guys are serious. These guys know what they're doing, and they know that one of the things that they're going to have to overcome if they want people to start using their U.S. exchange is to overcome the people's fears of losing the security of their tokens due to many of the high-profile hacks that have occurred. So after working with a lot of different companies, they were able to finally find one that would insure the digital assets on their exchange. So this is just a big news towards safety and adoption and mainstream everything. The more safe people feel, the more likely they will to use this exchange and get into crypto. So I say, once again, good job, Winklevoss twins. They're kind of the heroes of crypto right now. You may have hated them in the past because, let's face it, they seem like they're just kind of douchey, you know, like they're trust fund babies, I believe. Like they had a lot of money before they even went to college. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but this is like the general perception of these guys. They come from money, they have money, they've made a bunch of money off of Bitcoin. Of course, Zuckerberg stole Facebook from them. I believe there is some truth to that. But these are like the kids that you wouldn't have wanted to hang out with at school, in my opinion. You know, the better than kids. They're better than you. They're richer than you. Better looking than you. Everything like that. But when it comes to crypto, these guys are crypto heroes, guys. There's really no two bones about it, or bones about it. I don't know why two bones. Crossbones. But, I think that these guys are doing a lot of great stuff for crypto, and they're playing a major role in the forwarding of adoption for cryptocurrency. So big shout out to them. Appreciate all the hard work they're doing in crypto, and I hope they do continue it. So, okay, guys. Next story here, we have cryptocurrency is here to stay. CFTC Chairman Giancarlo. CFTC is basically kind of like the cousin to the SEC. You kind of think it's one of our regulatory bodies here in the United States. I wanted to read this quote. Of course, he is known as being crypto dad by being someone who is very bullish on crypto that's in the government. And, you may not like Donald Trump at all, which is totally okay. I totally understand that. I'm not saying whether I like him or not. But the thing about Trump is he has at least appointed people in positions that seem like they're good for crypto. I've said this before. I like to stay politically agnostic. This isn't about me being political. I don't espouse, public political beliefs as a YouTuber or an influencer or whatever the matter may be. So you may absolutely hate him. But if you absolutely hate him or you absolutely love him, the fact is that there have been some good, appointees for crypto specifically, and this was one of them, named Crypto Dad. He's been a guy who's really been pushing cryptocurrency. Of course, along with him, we have the latest SEC commissioner that was a Trump appointee that is also very bullish. So I think that we are making some good moves politically in terms of crypto. So Giancarlo had this quote. It said, "I personally think that cryptocurrencies are here to stay. I think there's a future for them. I'm not sure they ever come to rival the dollar or other hard currencies, beg to differ, but there's a whole section of the world that really is hungry for functioning currencies that they can't find in their local currencies. There's 140 countries in the world. Every one of them has a currency." Now, this part is very, very interesting. "Probably 2/3 are not worth the polymer or the paper they're written on, and those parts of the world rely on hard currencies. Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency may solve some of the problems." So very interesting quote here. It's really great to know that we have people like this in our government that are really seeing the big picture and are getting it. There's just a small percentage of us, no matter what position we're in, that seem to have had the scales lifted off of our eyes and that we can really look at crypto for what it is, the future of money, no question about it. So even if the United States never moves away from the dollar and 2/3 of the other countries do move towards cryptocurrency, that's still going to be a huge boon for Bitcoin and crypto. So I thought this was pretty interesting. So here we go with Mike Novogratz, who is basically a permabull and has said so many things like we've already bottomed and we're moving up. Bitcoin's going to $50,000. Well, now he says that Bitcoin will not top $9,000 this year. I'm going to talk about why I actually disagree with that, but I see the thinking. What he's saying is that next year, the first 2 quarters, Bitcoin will spend getting over $10,000. And after quarter number 2, quarter number 3 next year, we will see insane growth and Bitcoin going up over $40,000. But I do now. It's important to note that earlier in the year, he said by the end of this year it would be at $40,000. Don't really know what changed his mind on that, but I do think that we actually have a really good chance to go over 9,000 by the end of this year. But of course, I don't think it's going to be much higher than 9,000. I don't think we're going to $25,000 or $40,000 by the end of the year. But I do think we have an opportunity. Now, he may end up being right. I'm definitely more firmly in the camp that think we're going to see a slow rise more than a fast rise. But I do think the one thing that could really help us out is Bakkt. When Bakkt comes in November, I do think that's going to be absolutely huge. People able to spend crypto. It's going to be more in the mainstream, in the public eye. And so I think that could propel the price higher at the end of November. But once again, I also could be wrong about that. So speaking of Bakkt, we now have a rival in another huge story about crypto today. erisx, a new crypto platform, is going to rival Bakkt in the crypto custody solutions race. So I was a little unclear reading this, if this is only going to be the custody side of crypto. I'm not sure, like with Bakkt, it's going to be a way to also spend crypto. Buy, sell, trade, exchange, the whole 9 yards. But with this, I really couldn't find anything in here where it said you're going to be able to spend this crypto. So if you look at the companies involved in this, it is TD Ameritrade, Digital Currency Group, cboe. There's so many big names involved in this. As you can see here, even more, Pantera Capital, Digital Currency Group, so many big companies on the institutional investor side getting involved in this. And so I think that this is probably going to end up being successful. I would be disappointed if this is really just kind of like futures trading and other institutional investing that I don't really know that much about or have never done myself. But if this can be a true competitor to Bakkt, and it does also develop a way for people to spend their crypto, then that's great, guys. Personally, I'm a big fan of capitalism, and what I mean by that is business competition. And I believe that if we had two of these platforms competing with one another to be the best platform, that's the best situation we can be in for crypto, to have these two giants going back and forth at each other, offering us, less fees to spend, less fees to exchange, whatever it might be. And also with each one of them wanting to sign their own giant partners. As you know, Bakkt has already partnered with IBM. Is that right? No, not IBM, sorry. Already partnered with Microsoft and with Starbucks. And I'm not sure all the other partners, but those are some heavy hitters. So it'd be interesting to see if erisx is also able to get some partners. So we might see a nuclear arms race of sorts for these two platforms to be able to get big partners, to be able to make spending crypto easier. So that's what I want to see. So that's all I got, guys. I know it's pretty long talking about all these different stories, but I felt like they were all important and needed to be touched on. There's a ton of other stories going on right now, but I thought these were the biggies that you guys needed to know about. So that's all I got, guys. Don't forget to enter our contest, become a subscriber, be a member of the Bit Squad. Until next time, BitBoy out.